All right, and we are back here. I think I hear an echo. We're back here on Couch Coach Live on a special night under the lights here on a Friday night here on Couch Coach Live. What's going on, Maui?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Everything's good, man. The same old, same old. Yeah.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here, man. I can't complain. Special day today, though.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes. So it's a um 10-year anniversary here on Couch Coach Live. So we started the program 10 years ago today on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll talk about so we got a good show for you tonight. So we'll talk about a little bit of our favorite moments of the show. We'll also kind of back some moments that happened within these 10-year time frame. So we'll kind of do more reflecting on this one, and we also got to address the elephant in the room with Skip Bayless being out at Fox Sports 1. We'll talk about that as well. So what we're going to do, we'll start the show momentarily. But what we're going to do, we'll kick that intro momentarily, and we'll be right back here on Couch Coach Live. All right, and we're back here on Couch Coach Live, and now we are live on Instagram. So, yeah, starting to get that all kind of squared away. This new modern technology, who'd have thunk you can do all, stream to all these different platforms, but we're here, so you can check us out live on our Facebook page, Couch Coach Live, our YouTube page, and now on our Instagram page. We'll get back to Twitter momentarily. Some little glitchy. It's been glitchy the last few weeks, but we'll kind of get that all kind of squared away. But that's here no there. And like we said, so today is a special edition of Couch Coach Live. We normally don't come on Fridays. We used to be on a Friday slot at our time at Lex Internet Radio from 2017 to March of 2018. So we've always have had it on different days of the week. That's the beautiful thing about being around for 10 years. Always changes. We went from a Saturday show to a Tuesday show to a Friday night show, then to think Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Used to be consistent with that. So we're back at it here. Right. So we'll talk about, we'll kind of go back in time momentarily, but we definitely got to address, like I said, I teased it in the intro, the big elephant in the room that happened on Monday, which is very interesting. Definitely, it was an interesting day. Obviously, the release of College Football 2020, College Football 25, for the ones who got the deluxe version, the ones who got it early on, 3 days early. Then we got news of Skip Bayless, who'll be leaving Fox Sports 1 and later this summer. And obviously, if we remember, Skip Bayless signed a 4-year, $32 million extension in 2021. So essentially, his deal is up, and essentially, Fox didn't re-up his contract. So, what's your thoughts on Skip Bayless? Well, also too, before we get into that, and also with Skip Bayless leaving, Undisputed still will go on. We'll kind of discuss that as well too. But what's your thoughts on Skip leaving Fox Sports 1, and then what you look at as the future of Undisputed?
I mean, we knew a day like this would come. At first, I gave it. I was like, well, it kind of showed itself with Shannon leaving, and as Skip was getting Skip to me didn't ascend or will you expand off your character on air to me, and it was like he just kept staying in the same. Like, man, he's not changing, he's not growing. You know what I mean? And whatever he did, it seemed like whatever he was doing to seem like he was growing, it looked like he was faking. You know what I mean? And and then when you watch Shannon there, you just saw Shannon growing, and then Shannon was getting extremely popular. I think that's one thing Skip made us a mistake on was you don't really he's a homebody, so you didn't see him at games. Like, you know what I'm saying? You didn't see him at a lot of places in the public. Like, you know, he's not going to um a Iowa, Oklahoma game or something, or going to a Cowboys game. So it just seemed, you didn't see that. And then like Skip is starting to go to Laker games and starting to go here, going to Colorado, going all these different places. And it just seemed like he was really getting outdated. You know what I mean? And, I'm my age, I'm in my 40s. I was watching that when I was watching Cold Peace and all that was in my late teens, going in my 20s. And it's just time to do something different. I will say this though, I don't have too much negative to say. I feel like it's a lot of, he's on a debate show and, about speaking his mind. He's supposed to be controversial as much as he can. So, but a lot of people, like even me and you know what I'm saying? Like he is the guy to me that set that standard and push, this example forward. I hope, I'm sending blessings and strength or whatever he does next, but I don't really, and I'm a Bron guy, so I don't have too much negative to say about him. He had a good run.
Yeah. Yeah, the writing was on the wall because even when we talked about it last year when Shannon left, I knew essentially the plan in place as far as replacing, one guy, Shannon Sharpe, and you're bringing in Richard Sherman. It's in the beginning, Richard Sherman, Keyshawn, and Michael Irvin.
Right.
His team, for the football coverage of it, and then bringing in Rachel Nichols and Paul Pierce for the NBA coverage. It was kind of one of those where you really bought 5 guys to replace one individual person. Well, and then let's include Lil Wayne as well in the equation as well. So that's 26 in that equation. Yeah, and I think that's and the thing about Skip, and there will be a time where we can, look back and be like, yeah, Skip had a hell of a run. But like as a young kid say, his run needs to be studied because at the end of the day, this kind of was in a sense kind of his doing in a sense where he let essentially like his arrogance kind of get the best of him. And you even look at like even when he became when in this new format, you look at like how he ran. I wouldn't say I'm not gonna say he ran them off, but they're not around. I mean, obviously we know, as far as the moderator portion of it, Joy Taylor went on to she was with Colin at first and then went to Speak. And then Jenny Taft there, and then Jenny, I know him and Jenny Taft had a fallout. And then as far I think her name is Jen Hill. I think that's the other one that was there as well. So you look at like the people that he essentially kind of ran off in a sense. So it's kind of one of those where I kind of knew this was going to happen. I'm really curious what's going to happen with Undisputed as far as that. And now, like I said, when it comes to giving Skip his flowers, it would be an appropriate time. And I definitely think he still got some stuff left, and I'll talk about that momentarily. But as far as the future of Undisputed, I would not be surprised, and I'm putting them on the clock. I really think probably after the Super Bowl, they're done. I think their run is over. I think Undisputed is gonna be canceled. And it's I would say give it to February or later. But I definitely think a year from now, if we sitting here, in 2025 in July, there will be talks about this show potentially being canceled because now you're looking at it how Fox is now in this new transition. Now you got Tom Brady as your lead analyst on the network. And it's funny, he was the one that kind of catapulted the breakup of Skip and Shannon. It's the weirdest thing. And then with Fox covering the Super Bowl this year. So it's kind of one of those where it's going to be interesting how they're going to handle this scenario. And I think this could be a situation, and it could work for the good, it could work for the bad. So it's kind of one thing where I definitely think there'll be a situation where I wouldn't be surprised if we talk about this time next year that First Things First is in that slot, because I know they get ready to get an extra hour,
Right.
extra half an hour of coverage starting the 16th, next week. No, yeah, what's 20 next week? So it's the next week, and then also Speak getting an extra 30 minutes. So you look at it from that standpoint, I definitely think First Thing First probably more than likely would take this spot, because obviously they're probably one of the biggest shows on the network as far as from a ratings perspective. And Nick Wright is now their guy at Fox. He's there. I don't want to say he's there, Stephen A. Smith, but he's their headliner. Hey, the numbers say it, but it is what it is. But I still think with Skip, I think this will be the last time we will see him on television per se. I think you'll see him on having this YouTube, and I think he'll have that YouTube channel for a while. And I think it's gonna ultimately fade out. So I definitely think that's where I think essentially where his where his career potentially going to end. I know there was a comment back to him back in 2022 where he was saying when it comes to retirement, it's almost like similar to death. So it's like when you think about retirement, he thinks of like death. So it's like I know he's going to keep going, doing something, but I don't think it's going to be something like I don't think he's going to be back on network television. And I know there's been some talk about him going to ESPN. I've heard some. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I know a lot of I've heard some reports saying that they vehemently like nah, he's not. They're not gonna bring him back. So bring him back to ESPN. So I think he had a YouTube channel for a minute, and then I think it had to eventually fade. You'll probably get more of Skip Bayless on the content, probably a couple of times more a week, and then he'll just fade out. Yeah. But yeah.
So like it's the thing that the thing that's weird about Skip, like even like the Herd and all, like who's his friends? Like, when I watch the Herd show, like he does his show a specific way. He has guests, he speaks his mind, but he respects his guests a certain way. And he respects their perspective. But like, even when he does his podcast with people, you could tell he has friends. And when I'm looking at Skip, like Skip keeps saying Lil Wayne and him is cool, but like, where's the dudes that is kind of like cool with Skip, where they could, you know what I mean? Like I've never seen that. Like he got a crew of journalists that he cool with, that he talked to all the time. I've never seen that. That's probably why his podcast stink. You know what I mean? Like even Arsenio Hall, if anything failed, he knew he can call Eddie. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't see that. And I think that's part of the issue. Like, like who's your crew, homie? Like you can't just bring your wife on and think that you know what though, if that's the case, maybe that might be it. Maybe the one person that Skip respect or he ain't gonna go over the top. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's his wife. Maybe him and his wife should have a show. You know what I mean? But I don't really feel like anybody else. Like Keyshawn Johnson can have his. He got a bunch of friends. Just like even Nick White, he got homeboys. Like, you know what I'm saying? He got peoples that he could do. Like he can invite on, like him and the Herd, great chemistry. They probably don't like this. They respect each other's perspective. I think Skip been playing that character for so long. I think Stephen A. too. I think they've been playing that character so long, and once they leave Undisputed or First Take or whatever, they go to YouTube. They got to do something else. Like they got to show growth in it. You know what I mean? Because they're the big boss now. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You feel what I mean? Like it just seemed like they that's part of the issue. They keep holding on to this, and that, and like, nah, man, you got to switch it up a little bit. Got to grow some.
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, like making the comparison, like as far as like it needs to be studied, because like of the guys that he kind of ran, he's let I won't say ran away, but they're no longer there, and I doubt there will be a place for them. I think of the two specifically from his Fox tenure is Shannon And because even Shannon said on Cam Newton's podcast that essentially that's why he was offended about the comment about Tom Brady, saying, how, he said, hey,
Right.
Tom Brady is struggling. And then he's trying to say, well, you're jealous of him.
Right.
Like, how can I be jealous of him? I'm in the Hall of Fame, and how can I be jealous? He's 45, he's a quarterback. I played till I was 35 years old, so and he said even with that, where when people and he always used to defend Skip when people was opposed of Skip, and we all know when it comes to Skip, people don't like Skip, and I mean it literally we can literally be all day of a laundry list of people who don't, but he's the one that starts that stuff. So that's why I was like, it's going to be interesting when it's all said and done with to realize like how much of he really didn't have a lot of allies, and I think that's kind of one of those where it is what it is. It's just it's the unfortunate nature of what Skip Bayless, because like you said, he had an ally in Shannon Sharpe until he went left like that, and I think he had one with Jenny until he went left about. I think they were talking about Mike McCarthy and talking about his weight or something like that. And so, and just one of those where and Skip just I've heard people always say, and I always told people like Skip is a caricature. So it's like it's one thing like
character.
You take it for what it is, and that's one of the things where your caricature doesn't last long. Like it's gonna be cracks and foundation. Like, that's why it's always important to be authentic and be genuine when it comes to that type of stuff, because you see like stuff like this stuff happening, you create this monster, and then you become I kind of want to. I don't want to take it this way, take it this far, but it's eerily similar. I think when it's all said and done with, I think once people kind of start talking, it's similar to Jimmy the Greek. I don't know if you remember Jimmy the Greek from the NFL Today.
Okay.
Not saying like he said like as far as not saying like, because he got kicked off of CBS because of some comments about black athletes, but he did. So I mean as far as Jimmy the Greek, as far as how people didn't like Jimmy the Greek. Jimmy was kind of one of those guys that was, I wouldn't say he was a caricature of himself, but it was a guy that people really didn't like. And I think when it's all said and done with, like they always have had issues. So Skip's gonna go down. I think that he's got to have a 30 for 30, because like I said, his story needs to be studied. I'm serious, and I say this like as far as definitely. Young people would say, because it's going to be a very tangled web, and it's going to be kind of one of those where almost just like how he created this debate type of topic. I think how Skip is going to be revered is it's going to be eerily similar to when it comes to a debate type of topic. Well, how do you look at Skip Bayless from a standpoint? So it's going to be a very, very, very interesting 30 for 30 or whatever comes up with Skip Bayless, but they definitely have a 30 for 30. Yeah.
I got one too. And this is my perspective. Like me and my dad, we used to talk at one time. A lot of people did not like Kobe Bryant. He was young, he was arrogant, he was winning championships, and people was like, he didn't hang with nobody. He just did him. You know what I mean? But he still had Shaq and all these different people, and he had Phil Jackson. Then he got humbled where everybody left, and then he started losing. Long story short, he was this like figure where he would criticize his teammates. They would do all these different things. It reminds, if you really pay attention, it reminds you something to Skip, where he was like running people off the team. You understand what I'm saying? Then once he retired, well, actually, I would think after the Redeem team, and then he retired, he became different. He smiled more. He was approached. He was going to the games more. He was getting invited to speak more. He changed. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's Skip's problem. Like, really, it's like I said. And I remember watching when Shannon was like, yeah, I got invited to this. Yeah, I got to. And Skip like, for real? They did this? He's like, yeah, boy, shoot, they sending me this and blah, blah, blah. And it was almost like you could see, like you said, you could see Shannon was really getting into social events, social media, and these things. Then that's when you started seeing Skip try to get into more, but it wasn't it was kind of corny. You know what I'm saying? Like it was kind of like he should have hired some people to help him do it or something to that something to that nature. But that's what I feel. I feel like I compare him to like Kobe was, where Kobe wanted to win. Kobe was arrogant. He was down in his players, pushing people out, you know, saying things in the media, like just kind of running people off, where everybody was kind of like, man, he's kind of mean, kind of arrogant, blah, blah, blah. But then once he retired, he changed. He started smiling more. He started finding other things he can get involved in. He started popping up at games, shaking hands, you know, going on shows, doing things with ESPN. Like, you know, he just started doing more stuff. And I think that's what Skip needed to do. Like, you know, I hate to tell him, honestly, it was getting to the point like Undisputed. He was looking, to me, he should have left Undisputed on his own. You know what I'm saying? He should have bowed out on his own and not let them push him out so they can get somebody else in. He could start doing his own thing, because it was Skip Bayless, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was, when it came to debate shows, he was that dude. But sometimes you got to stay 2 steps ahead. But that's part of the arrogance. No, I must, you know, be to do what I want to do, and this and that. And some people think that just because people criticize you, that it's okay because they're still talking about you. The way this world is going now, if they start talking about you too much in a negative perspective, man, you got to do something.
Yeah. And he be going,
because then certain people start listening for real.
Yeah, and then you going back and forth with all these athletes, like, you know, Draymond Green, and you you know, and what's going on, Jalen Rose, then, you know, Richard Sherman. It's just like, come on now, like, it's just got to a point where it's just, it is what it is. And yeah, I'm just curious what's gonna happen with Undisputed, for sure. So yeah, we're gonna definitely see what's gonna happen. But they're on the clock. I'm gonna give them about 5-6 more. I'll give them to the football season to survive, and then I think is it. You know, but I don't know. They might.
So let me ask you before we move. Who do you think they should put in there that might help? Because I think really what they're trying to do is they're trying to piggy off that they have the NFL and see what they could do dealing with the NFL.
I mean, I think they need a moderator first. They need a moderator because the show is all over the place. That's the first thing.
Right.
They need to bring back either. I don't think they're gonna bring back Jenny Taft, but bring back Jen Hale potentially. And I think you know, I don't know. I mean, you really don't have nobody. I would see if I could bring Tom Brady almost like how you would do with Lil Wayne. Have him come like on a Friday to talk about the games. So that's who I think should at least be when they replace Lil Wayne on Fridays. Put him with Tom Brady. Put Tom Brady's in his slot at 11 o'clock on Fridays so they can talk about the game of the week, the game he covering. That's the first thing I would do. I don't think there's nobody from Fox that they can really get, like, as far as from an NFL perspective, because I think I don't know what they're gonna do with Richard Sherman. I think they bring him back. I think I was hearing Michael Irvin may not be back.
Right. They definitely need to bring Mike Irvin back. Like he's funny. You know what I mean? Come on, man.
I think if you can get the trio, of Keyshawn, Sherm, and Irv together with a moderator, you need a moderator.
Moderator's important.
Then bring Tom Brady on Fridays or whatever day of the week, maybe Thursday or Friday, one of those days, or Monday.
They laid off a bunch of ESPN guys last year. So I'm trying to figure out, why can't y'all just get somebody that was laid off, put them there that's a familiar face, that really ESPN pushed to the side, you know what I'm saying? That you ain't even, you know.
Football wise, the only thing they don't really nobody got rid of football wise that I think that could work for them. I know, like, I always think about like Jalen Rose, you know, especially now that Skip gone, they should have him like for NBA, him and like Paul Pierce potentially. I think about from the NBA perspective. Right. NFL wise, I think the trio, like I said, I think the trio would be fine, but sprinkling Tom Brady once or twice a week.
Yeah. I got you. I think the whole thing that people aren't looking at too is that, like ESPN got Get Up and it goes into Undisputed. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's not just Undisputed. Like when you see First Thing First, it's different than Undisputed. It doesn't say, hey, I don't want to turn the channel. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the tone is different. First Thing First is a certain way. The tone is different when you get into Undisputed. Then the layout of the show is so close to the camera. Once Shannon left, I'm like, why didn't y'all put some money into the show? That's how you know they was gonna end it. Because all of a sudden, Michael Irvin is talking and hitting the table. I'm like, man, what is this in a high school or something? Like, why are they so close to the camera? You know what I mean? It
Probably
used to
because
be
it's
spread out a little bit more.
yeah, and that's where they messed up too. Where because what they end up doing, which I don't understand, that's weird. Because first thing first led to First Take, but now
Right.
Carton, Carton now is there. He's the lead.
Mm-hmm.
He's the lead there, and I think that hurts them too. I think that's another thing too. I think that really hurt them. Like where, because I think when you think of Ken, because obviously I think his name's Carton. Yeah, um, he does the morning show, so it's just like
Mm-hmm.
you go from that, and then you go to Undisputed. Versus the other way, it was when they had Jenna, the other Jenna, in the mornings,
Yeah.
like 30 slot. But now they flipped it where now they're now at 3:30, well 3 to 5. I think they 3 to 5 now, starting next week because they lead at the calling, which I think that would have been it's almost like, but yeah, and they got to have a good show, a good show before Undisputed too, which and
Right.
and and it's still in its infant stage. So I would still give Carton his time because they just been there for a year. So I never liked the fact they did that in that slot. I would have recommend him maybe that 3 o'clock show, but then it's almost like then that would that lead to Speak that might mess up Speak. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's one thing I would not want to be a program
So
director. That would be that
right,
would
remember
be
when we was on the road is when they came up with Get Out. Remember, Mike and Mike
get
broke
up.
up. They
Yeah,
came with Get Out,
yeah.
and I mean Get Up. I'm sorry, and I just remembered the tone of it. Like it is the perfect. Is when you're dealing with a show like that, you thinking of a person. Okay, I'm getting up. I'm making my breakfast. I'm getting ready for work. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm listening to it. But it was so up tempo. You could tell by how they did the volume of the microphones, this, and that. How they speak. It's not. It's trying to just keep you on a flow. You know what I mean? And actually,
Yeah.
what's the name is doing a good job when he's hosting it. The way he's asking the questions, move with. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's one thing that blessed First Take. You know what I'm saying? Because even people that's on First Take will stop at that show,
Yep.
and so they're promoting the next show. Like, and it it dive right in. You don't really see that. You used to see that in Undisputed. To be honest with you, you used
Just
to
did.
see that, but something happened where it was like, nah, this is the big show. We Undisputed. We don't need nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just was
Yeah.
Shannon, Jenny, and, like,
Yep. Yeah.
something changed.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting how they're gonna do it in the fall. But definitely, I say include Tom Brady. You get rid of Lil Wayne, you bring in Tom Brady in this spot. Because you definitely want to have Tom Brady in that equation for sure. Like you got to, and it's a
Right.
good way to promote the game
It's
that
probably
he's
the
covering
plan.
that week. Yeah, it ought
Right.
to be. Because if
It's
not,
probably the plan. That's
they
probably
done
the
lost their
plan,
mind.
D.
It better be
Yeah, that's probably the
because
plan.
that's the only thing
That's
that's gonna
probably the
save
plan.
it. It's
You know,
the only way I think in my personal opinion is gonna save it. Now basketball season, you
and
worry about
hope he
that
does well.
January. Who Tom Brady?
Yeah, I
You
hope he
think
does a
so?
good job. I mean, he might be horrible.
I think he. I think he's gonna do a good job. I think he's gonna
I
be
want him
good.
to. I like Tom Brady. You know what I mean?
I
I
think
like
Tom
Tom Brady
Brady.
better than Favre and Aaron. You know,
And, and
but
he got the personality, and obviously he's a student of the game. So I definitely think I definitely think he's gonna be great. I think he's gonna be good. I think it's be really good because to me, I just think he has that personality. Obviously, he fits that role. So I definitely think he's gonna,
Right.
yeah, and yeah, and they need to have that big draw, especially after losing Troy and Buck. So they got to have that. They got to have that big name. Especially now next year they're gonna be doing the Super Bowl next year. So yeah, this is the perfect timing. Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, I know ESPN got Pat McAfee, and I'm sitting here like, well, who is the next one that's a big, YouTube sensation after Pat besides, Shannon and blah, blah, blah. I don't even know. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here like, well, maybe that's something they need to do. Maybe they need to get some new heat up in that jump. You know what I mean? But I can't really think of somebody who has that wave like Pat does.
Nah, I mean it's very hard to have. No matter really has it from on a mainstream way.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, yeah, and that's where it's interesting because I know some, as far as because I know they've been trying to raise up Acho. I know that's their guy. I mean, like Nick Wright. I know they're trying to go in somewhat this youth movement of those guys at Fox.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, at this point, no, I think, and like you said, Fox had that guy in Shannon Sharpe.
You think they're gonna go get Marcus? Riley.
Marcus who?
Marcus. And his last name Riley. Marcus
Riley. Who?
Damn, I might be messing his name up.
Oh, Marcellus. Oh, yeah, Marcellus Riley.
Marcellus Riley. And his middle name.
Well, Marcellus was with Fox. And he's doing his thing. He ain't coming back because he was supposed to be on First Things First because they were going to move First Things First to LA. But then they decided to keep it in New York because he was going to be on that show, and he talked about that. No, I think he good. He's I think he good where he's at, and the way he talked, the way he been talking, like the last few months or so, he good. As far as how he's doing on his own. But yeah, he was with Fox, and that's another one where I'm like, they would love to get rid of him. Because they wanted that's why they were trying to lift up Acho. That's what happened. They tried to lift up Acho, and Acho was like, "Hey, I want to do my own thing," and that's why they gave him speak. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, man, that's politics, man. But shout out to Marcellus Wiley,
Marcellus, my bad. I got his last name right. His middle name is Cassius, and his middle name Cassius or something like that.
But definitely huge shout out to Marcellus Wiley, who actually follows us on Twitter. So definitely huge shout out to Marcellus for that, for sure.
Oh, word.
I was like,
if that's the case, the reason I said his name was because of how he was talking about Skip, and he was giving his insight on everything, and now Skip leaving, and I'm like, well, he got his own thing, but he could do, but do both. Fox looked desperate to me, you know what I mean? Like, Skip is leaving, so okay, what else y'all gonna have? I mean, first thing first is I speak, speak is okay. It ain't like it. It just, I don't know, man. Something, once Shannon left, I just felt like something changed. And it wasn't just Shannon. I liked First Thing First with Chris Carter. I really did. And I don't know, something changed once he left. And then like Shannon go, I don't know, something missing. All of it just seemed stale.
Yeah, because and like they said, like it's because Shannon broke the mold, because a lot of people didn't think somebody like a Shannon Sharpe could carry topics and be well versed on subject matters other than football. Because even even he was saying how like when Skip came to and was and was talking to the producers, executives, all this and third, and how he wanted Shannon as his person, as his guy, and all of them were like, well, I don't know because he just a football guy. He will he be able to talk about different sports, blah blah blah. But that's what it ultimately kind of what it boils down to. And yeah, but Fox, I don't know, they'll figure it out. But I think their cash cow is going to be the NFL. So I think they'll be okay for now because they finally got their huge star. They finally got their guy. So because God, when we talk about when Brady signed that deal? Brady signed that deal like 3 years ago. Like 3 or 4 years.
He went back to the NFL.
Probably
Yeah,
like,
it was big.
So it's like they got this guy. So we'll see. Yeah. But yeah. And definitely before we go on to the next topic, we definitely got to give a huge shout out to one of our a good friend, an old friend of ours from the great state of Montana, our friend. And Shavilla, definitely appreciate the love. Definitely, thank you so much for that as well. So and this probably was right around this time where we met.
Hey,
about 6 years ago?
Right, real talk. That's special right there. Yeah,
sure.
Ain't that crazy?
Yes, but I think it was right around this time too. Come to think about it, because I think we were like in Montana. Right around this time. My memory serves correct. But
we were. Because you probably don't remember. Because I think we went to the baseball game and everything. Because I sent some pictures on my Facebook memories, and we was at Walmart. We had walked to Walmart, and I took some pictures of the sky. So yeah, it's crazy.
So we got to talk, and now we talked about the one topic that the elephant in the room, which was Skip Bayless. So now we're kind of go back to retrospect, pretty much our thoughts in the last the last 10 years of the existence of the program, the podcast, aka Couch Coach Live. So the first thing, so we kind of got it in a 3-part series. So what we're gonna do, first thing, we're gonna talk about the top three sports news stories since July of 2014. So anything that's happened in the last 10 years, we'll just maybe drop it down to 3. So Malcolm, your top three sports news stories since July 2014. Pardon me.
14. So when you do this, man, I overthink because I don't want to mess up. I want to do good. I want to do good for you, coach. You know what I mean? But then I started thinking. I said, man, what really connect us? So for me, number one was in July of 2018. LeBron James going to Los Angeles Lakers. One of our big connections is always going to be LeBron. So I thought that was big. Number two was the Cavs come back from a 3-1 to win the championship. The Believe Land. That was June 2016. And I think the biggest one for us, which have us exactly where we are, but because before what I'm about to say, we used to actually do a lot of the shows together, folks. You know what I mean? We was right by each other. So I'm going to put, this is the first one. It's another one I'm going to put on the next segment. But on June 4th, the NBA decided to resume the 2019 to 2020 season. And it would be held at Walt Disney World to have like a bubble format or in a bubble. So that's my top 3.
Yeah, that was crazy. And I remember I was like, I still think about that bubble, like, because I've been to the wide world of sports thing before, and I'm thinking to myself, it's just a bunch of courts and a bunch of nets. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a mess. But end up turn out to being really, really good. It like as far as from an aesthetics standpoint, it was amazing.
Right.
But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I put it's like I have on the next segment. I'm gonna have another one, but I just think that was a big turning point, even like for all sports, especially guys that did radio or podcasts because it expanded.
Okay. All right. So so the first one, I think the Cavs winning the NBA championship after being down 3-1 to the Golden State Warriors. That was the team that, since it was quote unquote the best team in all the greatest team, 73 wins, 7 losses. It was a very interesting week to say the least, because I remember and it's crazy. And this is and shout out to I got JB. So we watched Game 5. I think we went to Hooters that Monday of Game 5, and and Andrew Bogut got hurt, and we looked at each other like, "Whoa, that's huge." Because obviously, Draymond Green was suspended for the game, and he was ready. He was at the A's game, like ready, like pretty much on site. Like, hey, if we win the championship, you know what I'm saying, I'm headed to the arena. I'm right across the street from the arena, and God, RIP to Oakland, man. But not that about that point. But anyway, and then Andrew Bogut gets hurt. We like, oh, there's something different. And then obviously they win there. I think that's when Kyrie and LeBron had 40 apiece. Game 6 go back to Cleveland, blowout. Then the Father's Day. That was a stuff of ages. So yeah, that was something where and it's funny because our first topic on the show at that time when we debuted was when LeBron James went back to Cleveland, because he ended up going to Cleveland like that week before, because that's when he had the Sports Illustrated article. And I was kicking myself because I was pissed, because I was like, I should have did the podcast that next day, which would have been like, I think the 12th of July. But we decided to do it on the 19th. So it's kind of one of the things where it's really interesting how that first topic, and because we were still kind of apprehensive of how this roster was going to shake up, and was still kind of questionable as far as what we thought LeBron James would he bring a ring to Cleveland, but he delivered on his promise. So that was one. The Cubs, the Chicago Cubs, winning the World Series, almost really similar to the Cavaliers situation, and then coincidentally, that was 2016. What was crazy about that? They were down 3-1 to the Cleveland Indians, a team now. Oh Lord, we're gonna talk about some old names tonight. So don't cancel us. We're gonna talk about some old names tonight. What are the Indians now? They what are they called now? But the Cleveland Indians, or they are, they're not the Indians no more. But they were down to the Cleveland. Yeah.
They're not called the Indians no more. You know how late I am? I have not heard or read anything about that. What are they called? I'm blown.
The Guardians.
What are they called?
Yeah, the Guardians. Oh yeah, the Guardians, the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah.
What?
yeah. So, the Cubs at the time had a 108-year drought of winning the World Series. They were down 3-1 to, at the time, the Cleveland Indians. Present day is the Cleveland Guardians, and they end up winning and breaking that streak. And I think at that time it was funny because Cleveland had an 87-year drought going to the World Series, so that was one for the ages as well. And then my final one is the UMBC, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, beating at that time. They were a 16 seed. This is in 2018. They beat the University of Virginia, at 1 seed at the time. They beat them terribly by 20-something points. And at that time, that was the first number one seed to lose to a 16 seed. We've had a couple. I think we've had, like, I know Fairleigh Dickinson won 2 years ago. But Fairleigh Dickinson was in that predicament, I think, in 2023. But so this one, UMBC beating UVA. And shout out to at that time that the head coach at at that time was Ryan Odom. So shout out to our guy Ryan Odom, now the current head coach at VCU. So that huge shout out to Coach Odom and
Mm-hmm.
them boys. University of Maryland, Baltimore County. A fine
Mm.
campus at that. Don't ask me why I've been there before, but I've been there before once upon a time in my youth.
Right.
Man,
Man, let me tell you, I've been
that's
riding
okay.
around all those places the last 3 days, and I'm just
Mhm.
reminiscing like, oh man, I've been driving around all those places, man, like the last 3 days, and I'm like just
Mhm.
reminiscing like, oh man, from even from just delivering wine, but man, when I used to run those areas, like just hit those streets, so much fun
Mhm.
getting old.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. All right. So let's talk about top three surprising news stories since July 2024. Uh, what you got?
Okay, where am I at? Okay, the first one, man, I put the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight. So that's kind of legendary for us because I'm a big boxing dude. So I was telling you the different things, but it made me. It was one of the first times I did like really like investigated um, journalism where I was like something ain't right because for like 2 years all you heard was Conor McGregor talk about Mayweather. Then I found out all these different entertaining entities and agencies have merged together and that was one of the first things that was in negotiation was this fight. So it was this was a big deal. There was a four it was a four city tour from July 11th to July 14th, 2017. There was LA, Toronto, Brooklyn, and London. And with that legendary Couch Coach Live, what made you lie? What'd you say? He said, "Floyd
Oh,
can't
yeah,
read."
yeah. I don't know. I don't know
You know,
why he has a book bag. He can't even read.
right. So the thing of it is, Floyd got paid $200 million for that fight, and Conor McGregor got 85. They end up making Floyd ended up making 300 million, and Conor McGregor made 100 million. Now, if you really want to understand, Conor McGregor is a champion MMA fighter. They didn't make that type of money. So a guy that was started MMA fighter like years before that, sleeping on his girlfriend's couch to fighting Floyd Mayweather and becoming $100 million athlete is great. The pay per view was 4.4 million. Stuff like that is not probably going to happen again. So that's the first one. The second one was, which probably makes you happy because Snyder ended up eventually selling the Commanders, formerly known as the Redskins and formerly known as the Washington Football Team, was John Gruden's resignation from the Raiders after all those emails. I think that was something unique if you go back in the archives because JB was talking, all these different people was putting their 2 cents in about it. And I was learning a lot, you know what I mean? Then you also got to see how these dudes was talking, but at the same time, I'm like, how do you feel about somebody going in your emails? You know what I'm saying? And you just being able to speak to your homeboys, but they're going through your stuff. So I thought that was big. And because he said some very, very bad things. The last thing was basically 2020. Um, uh, March 11th, the NBA suspended the season indefinitely. March 23rd, everything ended up getting shot down. But this was 30 days after Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus. Um, the whole world was shut down. You know what I mean? What do we get? What do we get? We got the Tiger King. We got uh, we got the Last Dance where I found out Jordan was a snitch. Um, and what else did we get? We got we got basketball with the game called Horse on an iPad. They were competing playing horse through an iPad. I would never forget that. I will never forget that. And then the NBA decides, hey, we're gonna come back and we're gonna do it in a format, which was the best thing. And it was great because you saw all these legendary speakers of sports be so excited like kids because they got basketball all day. You know what I'm saying? Every day, sometimes 12, sometimes 5, and then baseball came. You know what I mean? And I think it was the Olympics too, right? Didn't the Olympics come?
No, they canceled. They postponed it to
They did cancel it.
2021.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it was something else. I
they
just know
postponed. They postponed
it was a lot of different. Everybody was getting comfortable again, and it was a lot of sports at weird times. And I think that was actually the beginning of people really starting to get into the streaming services. But so that was my big thing for my what is it? Surprising news since 14.
it. Yeah. Um, I think I think one of them was when Seattle won the Super Bowl 49. Yes, yeah, Super Bowl 49, and that was,
Yeah, I
matter of
saw
fact,
that.
our first ever Super Bowl. First ever Super Bowl that we kind of talked about, because I remember we actually had a Super Bowl show that day at my mom's in her dining room, and
Right.
yeah, it's actually the funny thing about it, it's still on YouTube, and the audio is horrible, but that's 2015 for you. So
Right.
obviously that lost New England at that time because we they were coming off of a great play by Lockett, who pretty much made a spectacular catch to put them in a position that we thought that Marshawn Lynch was going to run that football and they were going to win the game.
Right.
But no, lo and behold,
Right.
I got Russell Wilson, the 2-time Rich Fitzpatrick Player of the Year, throws an interception to rookie Malcolm Butler, and the Patriots win the Super Bowl.
Right.
The name change of the Washington Redskins. So there was always rumblings of the name being offensive. We talked about this on the show, I think like in 2015 and 16. Because I think at one time, like one of the tribes at the time was really like against the name and wanted to change the name. I think that's when Bomani Jones created, I think it was the white Caucasian shirt or something like that. I forgot what it was. But it was kind of one of those where you looked at it from that standpoint. So, in my personal opinion, I knew there was going to be some steam that came with this. I definitely did not think, years later that essentially that the Washington Redskins name would be changed. And then obviously it happened in such a quick fashion where you went from one day there's rumblings to then you're hearing at the time Redskins sponsorships like Bank of America and also Nike kind of pulling out of the deal and essentially forcing their hand and then hence having a name change and then just the craziness behind it. You had the Washington football team to start off and then you had this kind of weird campaign with the Commanders and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of one of those weird interesting things. But I think the number one is got to be the death of Kobe Bryant. That's one thing. It's still, to me, it's kind of shocking because like I remember because now it was a Sunday before the Super Bowl, before Super Bowl week, so it was a week before the Super Bowl. Now, usually that's and to that day, I still think about that day, and it's so ominous because it was just such a quiet day. I at the time I even thought about it because at that time I had a part-time job, so I was working on the weekend. So I went into work cool, in the 10th. So I would end. One of my coworkers, she was like, "Hey, Chris, you heard what happened to Kobe?" I was like, yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I heard, yeah, he that LeBron broke his scoring record and and Kobe showed him love." She was like, "No, Chris, he did." I'm like, "What?" So then at that time, I'm thinking like, I'm going on the computer, I'm looking at stuff, I'm on the computer, and also I'm looking at on my cell phone. And then when Woj reported, I was like, "Whoa!" And and where I was at the time, I was out. If people outside of the Richmond area, I was at working at a place called Rosie's. It's pretty much almost like a casino. Like it's called like a gaming emporium because of the state of Virginia and their rules and regulations. But think about like a casino where you have televisions all over the place. So it was plastered all over our televisions. Most time you had a variety of stuff on those televisions, but it went from ABC, NBC, CBS, NBA TV, ESPN, all of them. They were showing all that, and it's just one of those things where that to me was extremely shocking, and that's crazy because I always say that, and we it's something about that week because it's always gonna be a quiet like this, like that Sunday is like the calm before the storm because that's when you had the Pro Bowl. Teams just get ready to start to arrive. At that time, the Super Bowl was in Miami, so you're like, okay, nothing really gonna happen today. Today's gonna be just a normal day, and then the sports world just got turned upside down with that news. And yeah, it's just one of the days that you really just couldn't escape anything. And then now, fast forward to now hearing the news of Joe Jellybean Bryant passing away on Tuesday is adds to a compound layer of a tragedy in itself. So, that was if a lot of people when you have generation. I know when people say like the Gen X when Challenger blew up, millennials to September 11th, the boom when John F. Kennedy got killed or when Martin Luther King got assassinated. In this 10-year window that we talking about, that is the moment where you'll be like, where were you when you heard that news? And that's kind of one of those where when you heard that news, you knew, you always remember where you were if you are, a right man to sound. So that was So within this 10-year period, yeah.
It was so much too, man. Like the Deflategate, it was so much. I was like, man, I said, man, I would think of stuff and I'll be like, and I said, damn, that was then. It was, man, even just us, like we connected 17. It's been a lot, man. It's been a lot. Like even us right now with Skip Bayless, most likely, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot, man. Like, you know what's weird? I didn't know much about Jellybean. And then I looked it up. I watched something, I looked it up. And I was like, he was all over the place. It was like, I always felt like he was just a regular player and they didn't know, but he was like, they knew who he was. Like, you know what I'm saying? People knew who Jellybean. Yeah, it's like it wasn't like he was and I no offense, RIP, rest in heaven, all that, but they I know Kobe Bryant was great, but they really didn't. You know what I'm saying? And so once he passed, I was like, I thought he was just some regular NBA player. This dude played in the league this long, played for the, you know what I'm saying? Then I said he went overseas, then he coached this, that. I'm like, nah, young, come on, man.
Yeah.
He was way more.
Like,
way more.
They were saying he was kind of what Magic Johnson was. But you gotta think about it back then, because Magic came in 1979. Joe Jellybean Bryant was kind of at that time. He was, doing his thing somewhere elsewhere. I don't even think he was in the league back at that time. But yeah, he shoot.
I think he was playing for the Clippers. I thought he was playing for the Clippers.
Because if you ever look at he yammed on Kareem. I was like, yikes. But yeah, man, he was legit. He was. I didn't know.
He was loved.
Yeah, because I know him and Dr. J were close.
They loved his. They loved him. Like he was highly respected. You know what I mean? We'll talk about that off air. I ain't gonna do that on the show. But I was like,
and then that's some
I didn't know that they loved him so much.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, we talk about that out there. Yeah, well, we won't do that. I know what you mean. Yeah, I heard stuff too. It's some stuff I heard a lot. This time, I knew about the dunk on Kareem. I knew he played. I remember him playing for the Sixers. I think obviously we know that's what Kobe from. He's from Philly. So, yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. He coached the Sparks. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's why like people like the the women's game and how you look at how he was instrumental, and then you look at what Kobe was when he was going to become. So yeah, I'm telling you, yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, it's a lot, and it's crazy. Like it's a lot of parallels between them two. Like I think even though it's a lot of parallels, and then you just think about like how and then they make you really think of like the relationship. How was it? Like, was he able to, as far as how he, if their relationship would have been better, how he would have helped Gigi potentially, down the line, those type of things. You really those kind of what ifs, kind of, yeah, it's kind of it do put you in a place like damn, like God, like you just think about that type of stuff, But yeah, man,
right,
crazy.
Right.
But yeah, man, yeah, yep. All right, so gotta talk about our top 3 Couch Coach live moments. What you got?
Okay, I'm freestyling. So okay, I'm gonna do one for me. All right. So number 1 was you and Skinny Black debating over the guy who took the Uber from Buffalo to somewhere else. And I'm watching you, and you and him really going at it, not knowing that Skinny Black used to have a cab, so it was an internal beef about Uber. You know what I'm saying? So and y'all really going. I'm sitting there watching y'all, and I'm like, they really debating over this shit, right? You know what I mean? So that was great. Definitely, of course, the Mr. Rufino moment. You know what I mean? And I think because you always make me laugh, so I'm gonna do half and excuse me, half and half. Mr. Rufino moment, and then the other half is when you was talking to the guy from Atlanta, and you asked him if he ever had Lou Will's lemon pepper wings, and the guy was like, "Well, no, I've never tasted them. I've never been to Magic City or something like that." And I just was like, I just lost it. And number 1, I'm going to say the 2 weeks. I know one was my show, but the other one was your show, I think. Or did we do a half and half? I can't remember. But definitely when we went on TV at Channel 12. And I think it was more like the second one because you were speaking on what was called Legacy TV. You were speaking on Colin Kaepernick being on the cover of a magazine. Or being named GQ, right? And right, and how you presented it was great, and what we dealt with there, but but I just felt like those shows, and it was funny because you was nervous the first day, and I'm dressed a certain way. So then the next time we came the next week, which was just came out of nowhere, I'm dressed more like you with a hoodie. And then you got a sweater and a button up under like I had the week before, and we were just doing it, man. Like, what I mean? I think that's top 1. I felt like when we did that, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be something special. You know what I mean? So those are my top 3 moments.
Yeah, so shout out to Miles Garrett.
He needs a Gatorade. He can't drink no more. He's tired.
Shout out to Miles Garrett. Yeah, shout out to Chip, Coach Howard down at John Marshall. And definitely huge shout out to Miles Garrett, Fox 5 Atlanta. Yeah, I love that PC response. Yeah, and Marcus, man, Marcus almost made me feel like Shaq. Like when that time he was like, "Man, we supposed to do 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2."
Right. Then that's why it made it special because we set Marcus up. Marcus had passion.
Right. So then when it was time for me to go, I'm like, it's my turn. I was like, it's my turn.
This is great. So hold on, this was crazy because I interviewed Lucia, Because that's right. It was first half was me, second half was you. So I interviewed Lucia, and the whole time we was on mute. They said people was calling the show like, we can't hear you.
Yeah, right. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, and then because what ended up happening because I had a guest. I was supposed to have a guest.
Right.
Well, we'll leave that person nameless. But they never showed. They didn't show up. They hit me up about like midday, and that's when we improvised.
Right.
The Colin Kaepernick. We was like, well, that's what we're gonna roll off of because that was kind of because that person decided not to show up. We kind of figured we knew it was gonna happen. It was a Friday night, kind of a mid-fall night.
Right.
It could have been some situations going on, but hey, you live your life. So I mean, hey, but we got it done. But yeah, that was
right as always.
Yeah, but when we did that, it was weird because like I was saying, as far as he was going at it, I'm like, all right, you gotta let it flow. But
right.
What it is.
Hey, can I do one more? I got one more.
Yeah.
All right. So during the bubble, we talk about the Lakers. Me and JB going at it over Rondo. Right? And JB was like, yeah. I guess I don't know nothing. And then later on, he apologized to me. He said, man, I'm sorry. I was just really hungry. Man, I was cracking up.
And
I was like, man, that's all good. I wouldn't. Go ahead.
I remember at the time when that happened, I guess you could say I was pseudo mentoring this young lady when it came to podcast.
Right.
And I let her hear y'all dialogue, and I was like, that's something that you don't want to happen on the show. And I told her that, like, to be 100% frank, I like
right.
because you just gotta let that individual speak, and then you come back and you do the offer the rebuttal versus it was all over the place. And that's like, don't ever let that happen. Like, cause she was going to do like a show with her girlfriends, and they was going to talk about the topic. So I was like, if you get to that point where you get to a contentious point, because yes, it's okay to argue, but just don't argue with one voice heard. Don't get one voice. It's gonna be all over the place. So I use y'all as a test subject, and I don't think she ended up doing a podcast. I think she did it for a little while, but I don't think it's around at this point. Yeah, I offered some pseudo mentorship. People, people reach out. Hey,
it was just it was just the fact he said, man, I'm sorry, man. I just was really, really hungry. I laughed so hard. I was like, yo. I said, JB, I think you smart, man. I think you're one of the smartest people I probably met. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? But that still was great. You know what I mean? That was one of those moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I definitely. So I'll go down the list. It's no particular order, per se.
Okay.
So first, my favorite moments was the live remotes when we were at Ironclad. Shout out to the good folks at Ironclad. Those are fun. I know we ended up doing 3. Well, no, we did 4. So I remember the first one we did in September 2017. Shout out to my uncles for coming. That was a good experience. That was our first one. And then at that time, a lot of our Legacy Internet Radio fam at the time was out there. Definitely a huge shout out to them. Then we had one Black Friday right after Thanksgiving. That's when my mom, my aunt, and my cousin from Charlotte came. So that was cool, just had that whole weekend together, just to be around with my family, then bringing them kind of into my world, so that was kind of a cool. Then probably the coldest night in Richmond, we went in January, and this when we had Coach Antoine. He was with the Rough Riders. I know he was with the Richmond Raiders. He played for the Richmond Raiders when they was at the Coliseum. R.I.P. to the Richmond Coliseum. I had to say that out loud. But that, and then we had a semi one. We had one for Super Bowl week, but did end up having a technical difficulties. It didn't happen to do having the show at the studio. But we, so definitely there was some good times to have doing it live and having the remote. It was fun. It was always, those shows that you brought the energy. Our audio wasn't the best, but we made it work. But it was great. It was just a great experience just having that energy.
And sound live, man. Like when you listen to audio, you be like, man, you feel like there's a million people in there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what it felt like too. And it was fun. I mean, that's still, yeah, and that's one thing you really can't replicate the experience. It was so great. So, and I talked about it earlier when we talked about as far as when the Redskins changed their name. At the time was a Washington football team. Now current day is the Washington Commanders. But I did something, and I definitely got to give a huge shout out to my guy Rob. We did a Washington Redskins funeral, and I always think to myself, I think of some crazy stuff, but it's always cool to have people, especially like you now, and all my guys, brotherhood, sisterhood, in this podcast game that are willing to ride me when it comes to these kind of crazy ideas. I even created a program and everything, and it was awesome. It was therapeutic. It was awesome. To me, and I was glad to have Rob on the show to talk about that because we both had that same emotion for the team. So it was kind of like,
right.
When we kind of put back some tears, it was cool. Versus other people, they probably would laugh at us, think we were foolish. But but it was great because we talked about some great moments. We talked about some great, great moments of this team. Obviously, certain teams that we love. And I don't know. I got really emotional about 2017, which I always look at that team. It's probably the best experience. The reason why I fell in love with that team. That was the year obviously of Sean Taylor's death. You made that playoff run. We got a guy Todd Collins, aka the Michigan man. Making his first start nearly 10 years, and he leads us, into a playoffs. We went, we started a run after Sean passed, and we got a home game against the Bears on a Thursday night after having a funeral for Sean. Days after that, man, they might be a day or two after his funeral. And then we started running off and going on a run, and fell short in Seattle in the wild card. But yeah, that team. Just talk about that team, and it was just being able to kind of talk about it, and it was therapeutic. It was awesome. I loved it. It was by far, I think, one of the best shows. But I think one of my favorite shows. It's got to be the podcast that we did in June 2020. We did a show called The George Floyd Effect. It was perfect because normally with us, we don't really go into a lot of social issues. I know we kind of try to keep it as sports as possible, not for the fact because of we just want to keep it sports. But I think the time period, because at the time we really didn't have any sports going on, so George Floyd at the time was the biggest story and that transcended sports, and we bought it from an angle where many athletes at the time was talking about George Floyd. I know I think it was like Kyrie Irving angle, because I think he was still debating on whether he was going to play in the bubble or if they were going to continue stuff like that. I think we talked about Stephen Jackson, because obviously Stephen Jackson is a friend of George Floyd. So I think that was just a good show. It's good just kind of show you kind of the depth of us. We don't like we said, we don't necessarily, we can dive into social issues because we like we talked about it earlier when we were on Legacy TV. We talked about Colin Kaepernick, and I even talked about Colin Kaepernick a little bit in 2016 when we were on at that time. but I don't think we really dove into it like like we did when it came to the George Floyd situation. But we kind of tied in with the so I look at that, and if you ever want to dig through the crates and look at some old 2020 content, definitely check out that. Check it out. I think that was probably our best, one of the best podcasts that we've ever done because of the fact how we're able to kind of tie it in and also kind of show our versatility, that we can speak on association, and I'm not saying that we're gonna turn the couch code CNN, in these next few weeks or few months. No, we're not. We're still gonna stick to football and sports and whatever. We're gonna what did Lord Ingberg said? Shut up and dribble. So we deviated from the shut up and dribble tactic. It was awesome, but it flowed.
Right. We had to at that time though, man. It was like to the forefront. Like the world was shut down. Like it really was affecting everybody. And it was like it was so many things happening too, like back to back to back. Minnesota, because it was just so much stuff. A young man, I think in North Carolina, South Carolina, got chased by, it was just so much stuff. Like we had to, like, it was like, you have to stop. Y'all have to stop. You have to speak on these things. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
man, 2020 was a sad year and a unique year. I think 2020 to me showed how great, the human race could be, because we can literally, we put our, things to the side, we could work together and we could still keep things moving. That's one thing I learned about that year.
Yeah. 2020 was the ultimate year of, if you have plans, what's the term? You want to make God laugh, reveal your plans. Because 2020 was kind of one of those years where I definitely thought it was going to be a year, that I know for me personally, I thought I was going to be travel a little bit more, kind of see the world a little bit more. At the time I got a as far as my schedule wise, was freeing up a lot more compared to in prior years or what have you. And then as far as that, but the good thing about it was it ended up kind of putting me on the trajectory where I am now. I think that's the thing about all of it. It had all that end up happening. It's just like it's weird. It's like, yeah, and it's fun to look at like 2020 certain things, like being in New York in the height of the pandemic and being scared to death. Like, okay, how we get home? And it brought out that survival mentality from us. It's like, it's so crazy because we were out there because we were going to the Atlantic 10 basketball tournament. And then they canceled it.
Right.
And, so then it's like, okay, how what we gonna do? Are we gonna stay here, stay back in New York, or we gonna go back home to Richmond? And it was an interesting time. Definitely, but it's a good thing that if I always look at the situation, it's great now to look back at it and was able to survive that and laugh at it, so. But yeah, crazy.
What's weird about that time is, I'm thinking the world shut down and you crazy if you do this. Man, you know how many people I heard was traveling because they like the flights was like $100, $100 this, that round trip. I'm sitting there like, they was like, man, please. Texas didn't shut down. Florida didn't shut down. Like they was like, Atlanta didn't shut down. I'm like, man, that's crazy.
Because we got our hotel. We were in New York. We stayed in I think we stayed in the Radisson. We was near Broadway. We was only paying $90-some a night for a room. We stayed for 3 nights, and it was $300. When I went to Brooklyn, it was almost $400 a night in October. So just imagine getting that same price for 3 days, but you get this price for one night.
That's crazy. You know what was expensive though? Rental cars. Rental cars was expensive.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was crazy. I was like, that's too much, man.
Yeah, and that's before yeah. I
was like, that's too much, man.
It was getting out of hand. Yeah, for sure. But
Damn.
2020 was something else. 2020 was something freaking else.
Man, you could go to restaurants,
Right.
you had to wait
So
outside to get your food. Oh, I'm sorry. You wait outside, get your food, and especially if you went to a Mexican restaurant, you want a margarita to go? I'm sitting there like, what? Like, yeah, they legalized it. You can take
yeah,
alcohol drinks to go. It was different. 2020 was different.
crazy. Yeah, so and it was crazy because and you went from being able to eat in a restaurant, and then they literally pulling chairs and tables. You go into a restaurant, don't even have no chairs, no tables. It was so weird, man. It was so strange, and I was like, man, that's how I was like, can I go home? Because I'm
Waffle House was closed. I went to a Waffle House. It was closed. The one in Rivers Bend was closed. It was 11:45, and I said, "It's closed." And restaurants would have signs says, "Sorry, we have to close. We don't have enough people to." That was crazy.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like they never close for nothing. Rain, sleet, snow, Christmas. They open every day, 365, 24 hours, straight up. It was getting that's how Walmart's were. And then another one where it's they stayed open all night. Now things closed out 10, 11 midnight.
Well, it's 2024, and I hadn't heard anybody positive of COVID-19 until a couple of days ago. That's a trip.
Biden, I know. Biden got it. Somebody I know got it. But I haven't been in contact with that person. But they got it.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, it's a few people that got it now. This is getting a little crazy.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, this Olympics, brother. I'm like, this is football, about to be preseason football.
Before we move on, I know we got one more thing. Quick question. I didn't get a chance to see the game, so how was it playing the college 2025? Seriously.
Oh, it's awesome. Oh my God. It's amazing. It's so crazy.
Hold on, time out. You don't have to do it like that. Don't lie to me, man. Is it horrible?
No,
I'm just
kidding. No, it's good. It's really good. It's like habit. It's addicting. So I took off Tuesday and Wednesday because I ended up getting the deluxe version. So I got it 3 days early. Mm-hmm. So I got it Monday at 4:00.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a thing called Road to Glory, where you can pick your prospect and you'll play games. So I'm a quarterback. So between Monday to Wednesday, mm-hmm. I played almost 3 seasons of football. I'm a senior in college in 3 days. It's that habit forming. I was playing the game literally all day. I was able to take a shower and eat. That's the only thing I did. I went for a walk both those days. But other than that, once I got back from my walk, I played the game. It's that serious. It was amazing. It was. I'm telling you, it was.
So let me tell you how much of it. Let me tell you how much of a G I really am. My daughter's boyfriend got it, right? And so she comes on. I'm like, what's wrong? She said, he's being mean. And she was like, he's being mean. So he was mad at the game. So he shut it off. And then they was supposed to go somewhere. And he was still mad at the game. So she was trying to talk to him. And he was watching TikTok. She said he turned it up real loud so he ain't got to hear. She was like, he was still mad at the game. And I'm like, baby, I love you to death, but stop being a girl. You got to understand. You know what I'm saying? The emotional attachment we have when we play the game. I have to use examples based upon what she does. But I said, you got to be understanding. It's been 10 years. We were talking about this is the truth. We going to the store. We and her having a son and daughter conversation. I'm like, look, he don't do much, but this game. It's been 10 years since this game. I said, so he ain't the only dude that's doing it. This is something special. You know what I mean? And they getting paid for it. The players is getting paid. So it's important, Yeah. Anyway, that's what's up.
man in
So
America had an unbridled joy on Monday.
So they don't have it on PS4, huh? Damn.
It's all on the next gen consoles, yeah. Because it forced me to get another Xbox. Because I was I'm literally out of retirement. Because I don't play I don't be playing video games like that no more. Like talk about it. Because Madden kind of played out. Like I would get Madden like at Thanksgiving in 2K. So I probably
Right.
don't play
Right.
until maybe like November, December. So I probably wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have got the game if I didn't have NCAA. Because I probably would have just got Madden at Thanksgiving for half the price, and then 2K half the price because they suck. I mean, they all right, but
Right. They
ain't nothing
suck.
really
They suck.
changed. But that college football, I love it. But yeah, it's great. Oh my gosh, it was.
Should they make
it's
a
great.
game every year, or should they make it every 3?
Okay, well, to answer the question, NCAA football should come out every year. It's almost to a point. I'm at a point where I'm like, it should literally come out biannually, in my personal opinion. But we know, in theory, it should definitely come out every year. But yeah, NCAA 25 is such a great game. Obviously, everything when it comes to tradition, all the pageantry that comes with college football, the entrances, all type of stuff. I know, like especially like in the games, they play the fight song, and then you're brothers in arms singing the fight song, stuff like that. You go to like Penn State, and so you could potentially have a whiteout game with all the fans in the stands, in all white, and it's so funny because it's literally the most authentic college football experience outside of going to an actual game itself. So that's why I find it so interesting about this game. And then just the simple fact of a few other factors as well, where like I had a game where I was playing, I was at UConn, and it's funny because compared to other crowds, like I've played like UVA, packed house, played Tennessee, packed house, played Ohio State, packed house. But at UConn, it's literally maybe like you can count on your hands how many people at the game. And that's the truth of how UConn football is, where they don't have packed out stadiums and packed out arenas. So it's kind of one of those where I just find it really interesting of how authentic that this game really is. So that's the the beauty thing about all that. But whoa, okay, well, okay. Well, anyway, so we're back at it here. So, but yeah, NCAA is the truth. So, we'll get that squared away. So, yes, NCAA is legit, and definitely cannot wait to get back on it to finish my senior year at the University of North Carolina. So, shout out to Road to Glory. So we'll get that teed up probably when we leave this the show tonight. I'm definitely gonna get back on the game and do my thing, but for sure. So bring back Mal back in the frame. All right, you back? All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, man, it's legit, man. It's amazing. Yeah, but every year.
Okay.
Yeah. Every year.
It's that good every year. Okay. All right.
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, because it could be some improvements to it. So yes, definitely every year it should do. You got some improvements. But yeah, they did a great job with it. It's really it's literally the most. It's such an authentic NCAA football experience that you can get outside of a game. So yeah, for sure.
That's what's up. Yeah, I thought I'd bring that up, man, because it seemed like that's the big thing this week. Everybody got it. Like even my brother, I was like, "Yo, you gonna buy the game for me?" He was like, "Yeah, I don't think they got it on PS4." I was like, "Are you?" What?
I know, right? But yeah, man, for sure. So, and speaking of college football, we definitely got to give a huge shout out to my guy. Shout out to our guy Zach McKinnell from the Blue Bloods, doing his thing, is killing it in the FCS world, man. Definitely huge shout out to our guy Zach McKinnell. We definitely got to link up soon as well too. And Zach, I don't know if you hear him now, but I definitely need to get with you soon, especially because I need to kind of get myself tuned up for the University of Richmond football this season. So, and I definitely checked out one of the articles on the site as well. So definitely a huge shout out to our guy Zach. I'll be hitting you up soon for sure. But definitely appreciate the love, Zach, man. Appreciate you, man. But yeah,
Appreciate you, Zach.
Yeah, for sure. NCAA. I think I don't think I'm gonna finish my senior season this weekend. I'll probably finish next week, but I'm halfway there though.
I mean, stop bragging, B. You flexing on me, B. You flexing on me, B. Stop it, B.
But it's fun because you do the road to glory, and then you can choose what school you want to go to. It's fun. Like I went to Michigan first,
I believe
and then I hit the portal,
Mhm.
and I went to Carolina. It was awesome. Like, so
like I said, I remember that, man. I almost went and bought me a PlayStation 2 just so I could play like the college basketball now. Because I remember I told you that. I said, man, I started in Akron. Mm-hmm. I picked up, and when I was in Akron, I was recruiting people from here. I got somebody from Hollis Springs back in 08 or something like that, you know. Then when I would come, I went to VCU and I was recruiting from Ohio. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get me one.
Yeah,
I'm more of a Black Friday guy. I'm sorry.
Treat yourself.
I'm a Black Friday guy. I'm sorry.
Whatever it takes.
Right.
I thought they were going to do something for Prime Day for that, not the game itself, but for the system.
Mm-hmm.
They had some stuff, but it won't like what it is. You know what we think of Amazon Prime Days how it used to be, where it's like you get doorbusters. Now they just crack the door open type of sales. They ain't,
right.
Hitting on nothing. But so we'll be a little clairvoyant. We'll be a little clairvoyant around our final segment per se another night. So we'll tap into our clairvoyancy tonight. So obviously we talked about today's the 10-year anniversary of Couch Coach Live. We went on air. Our first show was today 10 years ago in 2014. So fast forward to the year of 2034, which sounds extremely crazy, and I know probably if 2 years ago I would have looked at 2024 as being crazy. So what is one thing that you think will happen in this? It can happen in the year 2034, or it could be something that developed that's already probably happened maybe in the 2030s. That that would be 10 years from now that we'd be like, oh yeah, that did happen. What you got?
I'm stretching. I got two, but I'm stretching. The first one I got Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark will win 3 championships with the LA Sparks. I'm reaching. You know what I'm saying? And the last one I got, LeBron would own an NBA team.
Oh yeah, definitely can happen for sure. That's a few that I have here. I definitely think
right.
Honestly, in a weird way, I think we're gonna go back to the cable model when it comes to the sports streaming thing. I think we're gonna get to a level where I think they're gonna get to a point where I think the consumers are gonna go back demanding almost like a cable package of sort because of just out of the pricing of the apps and everything. This whole this a la carte type of payments when it comes to that. Where and this is probably and I know they're going ready to merge into a app where they have like Fox, ESPN together. But I think it's gonna be more so on like a cable like type situation where you're gonna be paying for this, and it's gonna be more of a bundle experience where it's like all the sports are gonna be all into one thing, and it's almost gonna be eerily similar to cable. Because what's gonna be crazy is this a la carte stuff is getting out of hand. Like everything is getting higher. Like I just got some from Peacock, $7.99. I'm like, and right in time. So it's gonna start August. It's gonna start August 17th. What come out August the 13th? Bel Air. Really? Really?
Right.
Are you serious? And they do that. And that's all they do. But
right.
But yeah, I think that's what's going to end up ultimately happening. And then I just think, and like you said, and I definitely do think LeBron James will be an owner of the Las Vegas franchise. For sure, I definitely agree with you on that. He definitely will be an owner at that time. And I think we're going to have potentially in 10 years a guy making over $100 million annually to play the game, for sure. Who could it be? I mean, could it be a Luka Doncic or a Cooper Flag? Could Cooper Flag get a max at that time? Because he'll be 2025. Right. So Cooper Flag could be a guy that's going to get the max. He could get a 5-year, $500 million contract. You know what's funny? Because I listened back to the first show, and we had a segment about NBA news and notes. So Lance Stephenson signed with the Charlotte Hornets at the time, 3 years, $29 million. I'm like, what? Could you imagine getting that in the NBA these days? Like, that's how much Bronny James getting, essentially. He getting he getting like $2-3 million a year? That's crazy. Like 3 years, 29. No, he ain't get the same as Bronny, but I mean, as far as, but you think it's like, God, that's like less than that's like almost like $9 a year. That's crazy to think. Like, guys, and it's good money, but it's fun to think like, dang, like how we have got like somebody, even a mid-level guy like him, get $9 million annually. Shoot, he would probably command about 20-30 million if he was in the league now.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Because hell, what taking them and them getting a little over 50, almost 60. Now, like Jaylen Brown got like they ran hovering around like 50, 60, and they're max guys. So just imagine the half of that. So he would literally get for that 3 years. He probably would get $100 million.
I remember what was the point guard? I think he played for Australia. He played with LeBron, the one that was stopping Steph Curry. You remember?
Oh, Matthew Dellavedova, Delly.
And when he went to I remember he went to the Bucks. I think he got like $60 million. I think he got like a $60 million contract. And I was sitting there like, how the hell he get $60 million? Like what stats put him that he can make $60 million? That's crazy. Then it was a tall center that left. I think he went to like Utah, the Clippers, or something like that. He went to like one of them teams. It was, and he got a big contract, got like $80 million. I was like, because that one. I was like, how did he get? It's crazy. It's just weird because I'm like, it's certain players you think should make that much money, and then there's certain players you be like, then you shouldn't even make more than $50 million. You know what I mean? Compared to what everybody else thinking. But if you got the right agent and you had the right year, like was it Hackers that came for the Knicks to OKC?
Oh, Hartenstein.
And I was talking to somebody. Somebody said they didn't think the Knicks was good. Yeah, they was like, I don't think they're gonna be good. I think it was me and my dad, and I was like, Dad, they just paid him $80 million. I'm leaving too. I'm leaving the Knicks to go to OKC. I ain't got to deal with all that media too. I'm leaving. And OKC was the number one in the West. Hold on, maybe you didn't hear me. They were number one in the West. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard in the West. Right. So I'm like,
for sure.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
But
and like them dudes is playing with all Brunson friends are there. Like, anyway. My bad.
And he took that discount. But better man than me. What they say? when you say you're a better man than me, that means I wouldn't have took that. You're a
Yeah,
better
that's
man
what,
than me.
113 million.
Yeah, you're a better man than me.
And
Me.
and he supposed to
I'll be like
sign.
James Harden.
Think about if James
Every
Harden would have stayed with the Rockets. If he'd have stayed with the Rockets and signed that contract, and how he would have
they
pushed
better.
everything if he'd have done that.
He did him a favor. Thank him. Give him a statue for that because he saved y'all. Because look what you got now in Houston. You got a good young nucleus. Good team.
I think he was gonna get paid like what 500 million or 330 something, 300 something million or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, even though back then, I forgot how much he was gonna get paid. But yeah, crazy man, crazy. Right.
Well,
All right. Yeah. So, final thoughts before we head on out. What you got?
man, great show. Sorry that I wiped out. Like I said, my laptop is down. But man, I appreciate you. Like I said, once we connected basically over Bron. But then as time went on, I realized that you was family because we were supposed to meet. Like I remember when you checked me in at the CVS on I think on 9 Mile Road or something like that. But like one of your both of your best friends that was in your crew, I met. You know, the dude that looked like Jamie Foxx, you know what I'm saying, Jay and your other homie. And then I find out that, you know what I'm saying, you have a family member that's connected to some of the closest people in me. I probably met him years like back when in New Jersey. And just once I found that, I was like, yo, this is my brother to the end. And anytime he need me more than just being on the show, I'm gonna be there. So man, I appreciate you for riding with me. You know what I'm saying? And letting me still be up here. You know I got your back. And I'm proud of you, B. Like everything that I said I think you was gonna be able to do, man, you doing it. Like you doing NASCAR, soccer, you doing high school, you doing female college basketball, you done been to the Hall of Fame, you done been down to Atlanta to the College Hall of Fame, you done been, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the draft, you know what I'm saying? Like you done doing so much. And that's what I said I thought you was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's up, man. Congratulations. 10 years, B. That's what's up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It definitely appreciate you as well, man. Appreciate, you know, everything, man, having my back, always, being here, weekend, because I always have these weird type schedules and you always roll with it flexible. I definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate your friendship. I mean, even besides the show, I mean, obviously we used to be colleagues. You knew all the stuff I kind of was going through, and you was able to kind of help me navigate. So I definitely always appreciate that. Not just the show, just as far as just your brotherhood, your friendship as well. So I always definitely appreciate of that. And I just thank everybody who gave us wishes. Almost felt like almost like a birthday, like where people were wishing me a happy 10th. And definitely appreciate everybody's continued support, the guests that we've had on the show, all of it. I definitely appreciative of those opportunities, and even just being on this show. Anybody everybody who has shared, liked, subscribed to anything, I'm definitely appreciative of that. And it's kind of one of the things where it's really crazy to think how, and I always have talked about this before, where the concept of this show was pretty much conceived on a dinner napkin. Essentially, I had the opportunity to do a show. I just need to know that I need to create a name for the show. So this is during the 2014 World Cup. If people remember the World Cup back in 2014, I forgot USA was playing somebody. And I was at this restaurant called Quaker Steak and Lube, and so I was in there waiting for food, kind of brainstorming. So I wrote a list of 3 names on a dinner napkin. Like seriously. I think one was called Sports Weekly. I don't know the other name of it. Was Sports Weekly, Sports something, and then Couch Coach Live. Got those three names. I think it was either Twitter or I think at the time, I think you were able to do a poll on Instagram. And funny thing about it, 3 people voted on it, and it was a 2-1 vote of Couch Coach Live. So, like I said, the topic, the creation of the name, from that came from a dinner napkin idea. And thanks for the 2 people, and I definitely appreciate the 2 people who voted for Couch Coach Live, because if one of you would have voted the other way, this could have been Sports Weekly, which I don't know if it would have stood out like other programs do it in the past, but yeah, definitely just appreciate it as well. Just appreciate everybody, their well wishes, and just everybody's continued support throughout the years. I definitely, I think, everybody who's has been a part of this journey. And it's just one of those things where it's just like it's kind of, I look at this as a for me, it's like having a child. I've never witnessed the birth of having a child, but to me, I look at this as like my child or something, or like a quote unquote my purpose. It's just been an opportunity to just live out my purpose. Something I've always been wanting to do since I was like 12 years old. So the fact that I'm still able to do this, even at pushing almost 40, and still doing something that I want to do as a child, it's something that I really, I really cherish, and I don't take, these opportunities for granted. And like you said, as far as, covering other sports and, stuff like that, it's been amazing. And it's one thing where it's always get that thrill when I get that credential and my name, and then, the organization I represent, which is Couch Coach Live. It's something that, it's always, when I have that, it's always one of those, it's such a great feeling. And it's great to still have that type of emotion and that feeling even after all these years. And, and it just lets me know I'm still having fun. And obviously we're still around 10 years later. So, I always say to myself, if it doesn't become fun, then I know it's time for me to leave, or at least exit stage left potentially. But still having a great time with it. And yeah, man. And here's to many more years, 10, 20, 30, whatever opportunity years I get left, I'm gonna roll with it. But once again, I just truly appreciate everybody who's been a part of this process. It's just good to see, even covering, even I even thought about it was a cool story that I seen the other day. So back in the day, we did a little bit of high school football. We did kind of like this little, I call it RVA prep centers. I really gotta pull that up, and I'm trying to try to download those. And I would go through and it was like a 3-minute long thing. We did this like in between like our station breaks at the time, because at the time we were doing online radio. That just lets you know how old I am. We were doing internet radio, which is now like podcasting essentially. So that shows you how how old I've been around, how much of a dinosaur I am in this game. But I digress about that point. But we talked about, we did score like the gave you the kind of like an updated scoreboard, like, hey, we got Thomas Jefferson beating Armstrong at a final score of 4, this at third. So a guy that we really talked about a lot, because this is the year that really Armstrong kind of went into prominence, and they're doing a great job now. Shout out to Coach Pruitt and those guys down on Cool Lane. But there was a guy named Nigel Chavis, and he was having unbelievable games. I remember he went to Verona and beat them and had like this outrageous stat line. And we were saying he was selling the popcorn, the sodas, and the drinks, all that. And now to think that he's now an assistant head coach at Armstrong High School. So I sat there and I was like, that's just amazing how just the full circle. And then, we can talk about stuff even now going with our former co-host, Chip, who's now the current head coach at John Marshall, the guy that we knew he was trying to get his stuff in the door. in coaching when he was with us in 2017 to in 2018,
Right.
and now going full circle. Had a great run at Amelia, and then ended up going to John Marshall. And like I told him, that he's going to change lives. It's going to be more than just football at John Marshall. I think he's going to mold some young men. I think he's going to mold the next generation to not just be good football players, but to be great men in the society, great husbands, great fathers. So, and I think that's the kind of the market kind of doing this type of stuff, seeing others grow and seeing other people that we've had as guests and just growing individually and just growing as in general. So I think that's the beauty thing about all this. In 10 years, you can have these type of stories. Well, we talked about this person. They went on and did greater things. Or we had a guest.
Right.
Even I think about like a guy like Zach. Zach, he's killing it. He's doing his thing. He's literally doing his thing in the FCS world. And he would come on our show during the pandemic in 2020. And at that time it was a very burgeoning brand, and now it's up there now. So just any of that side, and I can be here all night of all the stories of people that have been on this platform and have elevated. And that's another thing. That's the beauty thing about all this, where we've been here so long, where you're forced to grow. So you're forced to, we've just been here so long, which and it's a good thing. It's good to be a dinosaur in this game, but it's good to have people that have came along the ride with us and have done their thing individually and personally. So so that's by far probably I think the most rewarding out of this whole journey in this 10-year span. But so I think I've rambled enough. So all right, so what we're going to do, we'll put a bow on tonight's show here on Couch Coach Live. So we're going to take the week off, fellas. So Couch Coach will take the week off. We'll be back on Tuesday, July 30th, 2024, as we start our 11th annual Couch Coach Live NFL preview. We will put out the schedule some point next week, but we'll have some content coming out for you. So definitely check out couchcoachlive.com. I think we're going to have a Commanders article coming down the turnpike. We'll also have some content. We'll put out our Eastern Conference, Western Conference power rankings post free agency, and I might throw in some NFL content next week as well. So definitely tune in there, man. And once again, definitely appreciate everybody for coming and listening to the show. All the comments, the warm wishes, everybody. Definitely means definitely hits different, especially on a night like tonight. But once again, appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight, and anybody's checking out the replay. Appreciate it as well. And we'll catch you guys. So it won't be next week, but we'll catch you guys in 11 days as we kick off our 11th annual Couch Coach Live NFL preview. So just be on the lookout. Social media, we'll have a lot of content coming out next week. So we'll catch you guys in 11 days. And this has been this week's Couch Coach Live. And once again, appreciate the birthday wishes. And we'll catch you guys in 11 days. And we're out.
You're welcome. 10 years, yo.